because of Final Fantasy, I gained more confidence to be able to go out and go, like, have a leap of faith to go out and go do more things, because I was afraid to go step into a new community that I was unknown, and it just helped me grow as a person. And I feel like I would be stuck, and I feel like I'd just be in a worse position than I am right now.
Welcome to the Fredericksburg Turks weekly podcast episodes for the FXBG trading card game. Hopefully you guys enjoy. That being said, I know Jimmy subscribed. How about you guys?
Subscribe to what?
Subscribe?
Wait a minute.
Why is it bad that I'm not subscribed?
No, that's fine because we run the channel, but Jimmy is a true friend, and I'm sad that he's not here today.
I followed your Twitter.
I don't even use Twitter. That means nothing to me right now.
That means nothing to me.
Nothing. That means nothing.
No, I have. It was FXBG Turks. Yeah, I think I got it.
That's it, Michael. Out.
What?
Did you hear the story though?
About that Leonard?
No, but did you hear the story?
Did you hear a story about that Leonard though?
No, the real story is that we have another Turk qualified for nationals.
True.
We got Steven.
Hey!
That's true.
All right, so welcome to the Fredericksburg Turks weekly podcast. Well, technically this isn't weekly anymore.
This is just an addition. I mean, we had a lot of stuff going on. We feel like we needed to add a couple of our people who placed really well and kind of just an additional episode of it because we just had to talk about it. We couldn't wait till next week.
Yeah, because if you heard the last episode we were with RVA, we kind of had the podcast on a very somber note. All of us were pretty sad, and Steven especially was very defeated. He felt like his deck wasn't doing anything for him, and he just felt like down in the dumps. But the very next day, this guy goes and wins an LCQ, goes undefeated, doesn't drop a single game, not even in Top Cut, which is very, very, very impressive. And, you know, even though we technically went up there to block for him, he didn't really need us because he played Trevor in the final round and he was, you know, playing to kill. And you still were able to, take a 2-0 over it. And he was a fantastic player. He did a great job too, but it was just, Steven had all the cards that day.
I mean, yeah, not to anything bad about him. I literally was just drawing gas all day long. I just had it. Whatever I needed, it came up off the top of the deck.
Yeah, I think like every single game you had like 3 or 5 backups or something like that, right?
I played very fast, so I went in the mindset that I like playing the mid to late game, but it hurts really bad when you hit and there's like 5 Adeas in the deck, 2 backups and then 3 of the forwards. And it hurts really bad when you take a point of damage early on and you hit an Adea with a viable target, but you don't have the backups. So when I play Adea, I like playing really fast on the back row. And by turn 2 or turn 3, I was either at 4 or 5 backups almost every match that wasn't an ice match. Mm-hmm. And that did it for me.
Yeah, I think like every single game, like Trevor was sitting next to you and he's just like whispering like, what the fuck?
I just see, and it's not just him, like every time someone is playing next to me and looking at my board state, and as soon as like there's less than a minute into the match, I play my 2 backups pass. Comes back to me, I play 2 more backups, and then people look at my board state, I'm like, what the hell is going on with that guy? And I was just drawing cannon, man. It was just get match after match. Kind of running down on how my day went. First matchup was a mono ice deck, and I thought they were on turbo for a second until they played I played backup because she was shuffling deck, and I just happened to see one of the cards was light blue. Instantly, I'm like, oh, okay, I know where this is going. I don't know if it's turbo or not, but backup, pass. They hit me with double discard. And then I play it backup again, eat a point of damage. And then I played as Zemus, and she had Argath, Thaumaturge, and then she plays a Celeste. Mm-hmm. At that point, she has no hand. I got 4 backups right now, I believe. And I just draw into Exodus. I was like, cast Exodus. 2, she says 4. I'm like, I'll take that trade. You have no hand, no backups, and I got 4 backups. This is gonna be my game. Later on, she eats a couple points of damage. I played an Alua, swung in, so I hit her for 2 points, and eventually dropped an Orphan. At that point, I just outsided an Orphan because I drew into that and held it until she dropped the big forward. And that kind of went after that. There was nothing else she could really do. My follow-up match was Mono Water, and I know that this match would be pretty difficult for me because if they get all the backups they need in somewhat of a board state, and they start playing the Viking and the Layla Viking combo.
Yeah, I think I saw that match. He was playing like Mono Water Monsters, right?
Mono Water Monsters, yeah. I knew that it can get troublesome.
Yeah, you definitely can't let them like build a board because at that point when they get the Cleones and they got that massive Gao that's at like 15k power with like the Minwu on board, like there's nothing you could really do against that.
They just have that as a wand. There's nothing I can do. Maybe Exodus, but I'm kind of at a loss at that point because they'll have a board state if they get it to that point. But again, same thing. Turn one, I think they went first, and I knew what they were playing. I thought to myself, they're gonna play the backup game. I can do that, but faster. 2-drop backup, pass turn. 4-drop backup with the Adea backup. I pitched an Adea, played the Adea, and then pitched another card and played. I think I played a Summoner at that point. Which Summoner? I said in the last format it was a bad card because I used to play it at Opus 2 and Opus 3, Opus 4 and 5. I didn't like it. I'm done. That card's good. And so I had 4 backups, and they're at 2. At that point, anything they played, I'll set off the top, and I just controlled the board state after that. Game was pretty much over. What was my third matchup? I think my third matchup was against Ron, Turbo Ice. And I think I almost threw that game.
Oh, did you? What'd you do this time?
Yeah, so I knew it was Turbo Ice, so I'm thinking, all right, I need to dump backup. I need to play backups, but I drew only 2 backups. One was the Adea 4-drop, and then I believe I drew the Alricia, the Summon Searcher.
Oh, I love that card.
That card is so good. But I dumped 2 Aluas and another card to play that. Ron instantly says, "Oh, you're crazy," because I just threw away 2 Aluas. And I honestly, I was dedicated to the backup game. But after I did it, I was like, wait a minute. Those are 2 Aluas. I could have just Alua specialed and kind of just swung in with Alua and then a special to bait something out.
Although I don't really blame you because that's kind of what happened to Jason on Saturday. The other guy basically just went 3 backups turn 2, and like Jason just couldn't do anything because at that point he just plays anything that he wants in the deck. So even if you did get rid of 2 Aluas, like I think overall that was still okay because you're gonna literally be able to play anything that you want, and even if he has a bunch of 2-drops, it should be fine.
Yeah, so he had a Argath, a Therm, and a Squall, and then I got hit for 3 points of damage that follow-up turn. Because he played the Argath and the Thaumaturge, and then his second turn he played the Squall, hitting me for 3 points at once. And what do I draw off the top? Good old Shadow Lord. Play that bad boy, and I think the game was over from there. After that it was pretty one-sided. Then I played, I think my match after that was Judah. That match was a little difficult because I didn't play any backups. It was just forward for forward the whole time. And I think I got hit for 4 points of damage.
I think it was 4. What scared me the most though was turn 1. You rolled. You're like, all right, I'm on the play. You drew a card, and then you're like, pass turn, discard a card. And I was like, what? Wait, what's going on here? So I drew into my stuff, and I was like, all right, I don't have triple discard. I don't have anything. This isn't good at all because you just held your hand. I was like, I'm afraid. He has something in his hand.
I don't know why. Did I have Al Cid? I knew that.
This sounds like the most scrub game I've ever played.
What did you discard?
I pitched in the day because I didn't need it.
pitched it.
I pitched the day because I didn't need it. I think he plays 2 forwards, and I had the Cid actually turn 1. So at that point he can hit me with the triple discard. That's fine. I have Al Cid. I can draw 2 cards unless I draw Shadow Lord. I'm kind of screwed at that point. But if it's not Shadow Lord, I'll say I'm gonna play it and kind of got control of the board state. I mean, he hit me for a couple points of damage, bringing me to 4. But eventually, I got to swing in for game. I don't have much recollection about that game because it went so fast. I mean, the Turbo Ice matchup it's just a quick match.
Yeah, it's like 4 minutes tops.
It was we were up off the table in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, fair to say.
And then the 5th round, I go up against Trevor. I don't like the Mono Lightning matchup really. The mirror match anyway. Because I saw him playing early. He was playing Hildebrands, and Hildebrands just can get too big, and the haste.
And plus, for his build, I was looking at it. It's a lot of cheap cards, like 2 and 3, so it's like very fast, and he doesn't play like any 4-drops at all. I think of the deck like backup wise. So he's not playing like the Adea backup. He's not playing like Seymour or anything like that. It's literally just like 1, 2s, and 3s, I think. So. Do you feel like your deck was better for the mirror match? Or?
I felt like I had what I think Hildebrand is a problem on the mirror because he does have the haste and he is a 7K, 8K with Lulu, and then he can become 10 with
with Nashu. Yeah.
So I think that card is a big problem for me. But I went backup again with him. I always had more backups in every single 1 hour match, except for in the finals. I had no backups in EF3, which
even though it's my list and I made it for you, I don't remember if I put Hildebrand in it.
No, Hildebrand is not in there.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. Because with our list, it's just basically like you build backups like crazy, and then you set up a Dea plays, and then you can basically do it a Dea special like 2 or 3 times in one turn and just blow them all.
We'll get to that. Because there was a turn where I popped the backup into playing a Dea. I have 4 other backups that are live, and I just a Dea special. And I could have done it a 3rd time in that same play, but I figured I'd save it for something stronger. But either way, it was a blowout. I mean, that play is something really hard to recover. It's like a ride-in. Just remove 2 things. But I had 2 backups. I play Alua swing. He does the same thing. Alua swings at me, and I have Seymour in hand, so I haste his Alua to pop the trigger, and then play Seymour, break his Alua, and then he's kind of on the back foot at that point because whatever he played next just got out-sitted.
Yeah.
And Ramu is such a good card.
Dude, I hate that card. That card is so good.
I hate it for the mirror, but I love it for the mirror as long as I'm not on the receiving end of it. He went to out-sit an Amon that I played, and I almost messed this up because I had said deal 7K to his out-sit, and I said haste on my forward instead of dulling my forward. Luckily, the forward that I hasted was Amon.
There you go.
I don't know why I called that, but as soon as I said it, I was like, dang it. But it was Amon, so then I just let that resolve trigger Amon ability dull. Before Al said resolved, and he didn't get it off, and I just kept board state after that. So that was a pretty clean one-sided match. Going into top cut, my first matchup was against that Leo deck.
Yeah, I told Brian when I posted that list that 99% of people would think that deck's not real.
Dude, like I've played that every week up to this, and we still don't believe it's real.
It's like he's playing like almost every single color, and there's like one-ups of a lot of different cards, and like I was asking him for the list so I could post it on FFDecks, and he tells me like this whole narrative of like how he built this deck. He's like, it's Sorcerer's Night, and he told me like this story. I was like, did you just build this deck according to like Final Fantasy VIII lore or something? And he's just like, yeah, I guess. So I was just like, all right, dude, all right, that's pretty cool. But yeah, that deck is crazy, and like, how does it even work? Like, I saw him play it, but I never like understood how he played it.
I mean, his focus the entire time I always recall was Cypher. He plays it to Fujin and Raijin to help Cypher, and then so his thought process is like he'll use Cypher as everything, but then he'll have Vincent as his beater card, and have like Yuffie to play out, and then Leo to get big if he wants to. Honestly, I can't fathom how he plays it. I've even tried using this deck. Like, what do I discard? What are you saving for? Just like everything I can toss in and out. It makes no sense.
I've watched his matches a couple of times, and Leo's, of course, it's a Leo deck. So like Leo's the big focus because he's got a lot of stuff that he's pitching for, and not all the time did he have a bunch of backups, maybe 2 or 3 backups, but he got that Bart's off a couple times throughout the day, and that's just a big problem. I remember one time he had a Cypher, a Bart's, and an Estinian on the board with like 2 other forwards, so Bart's was online, and the board state was pretty scary. If I was on the receiving end of it, I'd be a little shook that I was going to lose the match. But yeah, I mean that was pretty. The game was pretty one-sided because I just went fast on the backups and outsit, taking it over. But really, I'm saying outsit a lot. But the MVP of the weekend honestly was Adea, because not one time when I hit her off the top, she didn't go off.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Since I was playing the backup game, every time I hit her off the top, which I hit maybe 4 Adeas throughout the day off the EX burst, and then like 2 Odins.
Yeah.
And so it just punished people for doing what they do. Alua got punished about 2 times with Adea and an Odin, and then the remainder is just random swings here and there. But after turn 2, Adea was a very big problem when you were swinging into me.
Yeah, and plus, like, the way that you play Lightning, like, especially last format too, when you're playing, like, the Raidens in your deck, like, you've always done that, like, just set up, like, massive amount of backups, and then play, like, the Alua, and then you still have enough cards because you have so many backups, and you do, like, the Raiden, and then you do the Alua special, and you activate everything, you swing for game. And that's always been your kind of speed, so that's why I knew, like, when I gave you the list that, you know, this is something that you could pilot and do well with, just because, like, it basically plays the way that you play. And it's definitely really fast with all the backups, and the summoners definitely help with that too. So, yeah, I mean, I think I checked my FFDex profile, and like that list has been like favorited like 10 times, and it's been looked at like at least 100 times or something like that. So, you know,
the deck is good. The deck is real good. After that matchup, I went on to facing Colin, and it was a oops all EX burst.
Yeah, he beat me out in top 8 for it, and I was just like, I told him, I was like, I don't want to play against you.
Like every day, like I didn't get hit all that much, but I knew like it was trouble.
Yeah, I was playing tempo wise, so like basically if I swing and I hit the wrong card, like I'm done. I lose momentum and I just lose the game. And if he gets like Camel Knot early, like I have to struggle to get rid of it. And like I was able to beat him pretty cleanly in Swiss. But like top 8 first game, he just dumpstered me with like first turn wall, and I had like a bunch of Thermaturges, and so I was like, all right, I guess I just lose. I can't do anything. And then game 2, same thing like happened like in Swiss pretty cleanly. Game 3, he basically grinded me out, and I did exactly what I did, like swung it, and I hit the wrong card. Then I lost to like a Chaos Walker or something like that. Yeah, then he played the Yuna right after that to close out the game. But you know, it was definitely a tough matchup for me. But how about you in top 4?
On my end, it was. I didn't feel like there was one time where he looked like he was about to turn the corner on me, but I kind of kept momentum on my end. So game 1 was pretty one-sided. It just went fast because every time I hit something on the EX burst, like I think I hit a Yuna once. I might have hit the Yuna. I did hit the Yuna twice. These are 2 consecutive turns back to back. And the first time he hits it, he looks at the board. He's like, I don't want to send anything back. You can keep it there.
Yeah, he every time I played Orphan, every time I swung with Orphan, it was always a Yuna. And I'm like, you want to use it? He's like, no.
He's like, no, you can keep that one. And then I hit the Yuna again, and he's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to take the lesser of 3 evils. The Onion Knight can go back to your hand. I was like, okay, I'll take the Onion Knight. And then that wrapped everything up. Game 2, I believe I was online with like 4 backups by turn 2 or 3, and I just could cast everything from my hand. Like if Mono Lightning can play anything and everything out of the hand and still have cards left over, you're in trouble. I mean, there's just so much value that you get out of your cards because it's all break or damage effects that will kill something. And I was just able to do it while still keeping a lot of resources with all the backups. The last matchup of the day was against the Mirror again, against Trevor. Game 1 was definitely one-sided. I mean, he had 2 backups. I had 5 by turn 3. I had already a Lua on the board swinger for damage. Anything he played got out-sitted. I had a Z-Mist. I popped a Z-Mist to bring back Adea from the break zone. At one point, I let Adea die, and then I popped the Adea back to then bring her back and then do the Adea special, which is a blowout play.
I'm telling you, this deck is just massive Adea specials all day.
Yeah, and then game 2, I thought I was in trouble because I look at my hand and it's oops all forwards. I think I had 4 forwards and a backup. I mean, in a summon. And he plays backup. And he's like, all right, you playing backup game, I'll do the same. So he goes backup. And then I play Amon, because I have 2 Alcids in my hand with my starting hand. So I play Amon. I have Amon, Alcid, Onion Knight, I think a Remove, and then the other Alcid. So those are the 5 cards I have in there. And I play Amon, I was like, all right, he's gonna hit me with it. So he Alcids it. out-sids it with a Lua, and then casts Remove to finish it off. And then I look at his hand, I'm like, okay, you just dumped a lot of sources on that. So then I out-sidded his out-sid.
Ooh, spicy.
I mean, it's the only active forward. He swung with the Alua, of course. I out-sid his out-sid. And then I don't know which other forward he hard-casted. I believe it may have been a Zemus. And so then I swing with my out-sid. No, I swing with the Onion Knight when I can. He leaves his Alua active, but he doesn't block it because at that point I'll have board control. And then he swings with his Zemus, and I just block with the out-sid. And he had played another forward after that, and I just out-sid that. So now he's got 2 forwards, I have 3. I have 4 forwards because I out-sid Rigdea. So I have out-sid, Rydia, Alua, and Onion Knife all on the board. He plays Shadow Lord. He plays Shadow Lord and swings with the Alua and swings with the Zemus. When he plays Shadow Lord, he kills my Rydia. And at this point, I believe he's at 5, and he put me at 3 now. And I have no cards in hand. I just draw into a Remove. I didn't have 1 card in hand. I draw into a Remove and something else, and then I cast the Remove, doling the Shadow Lord and swing for game, and that was pretty much how that went. That match was fast because I had no backups.
And I think the entire room heard the end of it, especially after you did your pop-off.
As soon as I swung for that last, I just dulled it with Renew, and he just shook my hand. I didn't even get the swing. He just shook my hand and called the game, and I just yelled, yes!
Yeah, you fucking screamed that. I was playing with Mike, and then I was just like, he was like, don't you want to watch your boy play? I was like, nah, if I watch, he might get a little bit more nervous, and secondly, I'll probably hear when it's over. And I definitely heard it. You just fucking scream that in the top of your lungs. I was just like, guess he took it. I have to congratulate him.
Yeah, that was pretty much the sum up of the day. It's a pretty good day of cards.
Yeah. And then that kind of goes into the next topic I wanted to talk about too, especially with the day before when you're, kind of in like a negative space. Like, how'd you get over that? Because I know you were feeling really defeated, not only from that, but like from Kansas especially, like even last format.
Mono lining had a very bad taste in my mouth because I lost several times in Kansas. They were new, and they told me they took very long on their turns. They were asking questions as far as what certain cards do and how interactions work, and I'm answering honestly as much as I can without like making decisions for them. But they just had the cards and I just didn't. This was two mono ice matchups where both of them were playing the game for less than 2 or 3 weeks tempo ice, not turbo tempo. And I just felt like the deck didn't perform as well as I thought, and I was not upset with them, but more like I just got scrubbed out by people who were just starting out and not so good at the game. They're asking me questions, interactions, and so I just felt like the deck wasn't up to par, and I was blaming that mostly. So that's why I stopped playing mono lining, and I was on Wind Earth for a while. Then yesterday, Saturday.
Back to the Wind Earth thing. You were playing that for a while, and you did pretty consistent. You got top cut a couple times at the LCQs, but you always fell short.
Yeah, I always fell short because the deck, it's a very good deck. I think it is not a very straightforward deck for the fact that you gotta know there's very little forwards in the deck. There's like 18 or 19 forwards. There's a lot of backups, like 19 backups. You got your 6 monsters, and then the rest of it is summons. With that deck, I feel like it's very critical with what you pitch, and it's a guessing game on what you're going to get next, and this is what makes you like a top Wind Earth player, medium tier or low tier, is like calculating probability on what you're going to draw.
Yeah, and then
because there's so little forwards in the deck.
When we were talking about that one match against Colin on the previous episodes where it was like really exciting to watch, but at the same time it was very nerve-wracking because I could clearly tell that you were really anxious.
When I did the local qualifier in Centerville, I was so anxious and I was so nervous, and I didn't have, I won that match, skin of my teeth, but when I went to go play Muhammad in the semifinals, I did not have it together.
Yeah, you're like a nervous wreck.
I was playing so fast. I didn't win the game because I shouldn't have won the game in the mental state that I was. I just didn't have any sort of control on what my plays needed to be, mindset and such. But that went into how I played this past Sunday. I was not going to let myself get to that point, even though I played really well that day at Island Games. I kept on taking like your guys' advice. Cool, calm, collective. Make the same play you're gonna make it 2 or 3 times in your head and kind of pan out the possible results. And I was really chill, laid back, and quiet all day Sunday.
Yeah.
And all my plays, it was smooth. Everything came according to plan. I knew all my hands were clear with what I needed to do. Me reading the board state was very obvious on what I needed to do and how I needed to maneuver over certain things, and the results showed. I mean, it was not a anxious mess like how my last qualifier
You were clearly
was.
the best player in the room in that tournament. You pretty much destroyed anybody that you played against, which is very impressive. And then also, we do have guests with us today, and they've been very polite, being very quiet while Steven told his war stories and basically told the world how he took his Nationals win, LCQ win. So we got...
predictions.
Yeah, there we go. I'm making a meta call already. We got Judah here, we got Michael, and we got Austin as well. Austin didn't go to this one in Hagerstown, but we wanted him on the episode today just because he kind of embodied what we wanted to talk about today. But if you don't know, Judah and Michael got top 8 in that event, me as well. And I'm pretty sure that top 8 for that event was all Virginia.
It was.
Yeah.
Brian's technically Maryland, but he comes to the Virginia scene all the time, so I'm just going to call him. He's one of us.
He has the tag, but he's literally a Virginia.
Yeah, and I have to say that's really impressive. And that definitely puts us on the map even more than usual, because I think everyone knows that Virginia has some pretty good killers in the game. We got Adam Lane, Chris Adams in Richmond. We got Danny down in Pocket in Virginia Beach. We got me, got Steven, got Jason.
Someone else that qualified down there, Spencer.
Yeah.
He qualified at Gen Con.
Yeah, then we also got Muhammad in Nova. He also qualified as well. So we got plenty of good players. Now, are we going to add your guys' name to the list now? Is this something that we're going to have to expect for future to come?
I mean, I tried. I tried. I'm gonna get past it.
I'm trying hard. Like I'm thinking even this coming out weekend, there's a local qualifiers going on in New York, and I'm thinking about just going up there just because I have this desire to like put my name out there to be able to just be known as I'm good at this game.
Yeah. And
I don't care about going to the qualifiers. I don't care about everything. That trophy is what drives me. This is what I want ever since like I built the deck that I've enjoyed I enjoy playing, and it just runs smoothly for me. I'm just like I have so much more confidence than I had before just building like these jank decks that I thought were going to be cool. I was just like, well, you know what? I've been playing good now. I have my mindset somewhat fixed comparative to how I was when I first started out playing the game through the months where I just was like, I want to quit this game. And now I'm like, 06 kind of just brought me back into I love this game. I realized why I wanted to continue.
And I have to say I'm extremely proud of you because you have changed so much. And I told Jason this morning that you're the Leffen of our community. And
my God.
He did not like that at all. He's like, no, don't say that. Don't call him Leffen. I love Leffen too much. But in my mind, you are the Leffen of the community because you were, if it's okay to say, like, if you don't mind, like a lot of people had some early problems with you in the community just because, surprise, you play Smash. And that kind of attitude doesn't really sit well too much with people that just kind of sit back and relax and play card games. But definitely a personality that was very unique, something that we're not really used to in the scene. And then from there, there was some little drama that came up, but overall, you've transformed entirely. You basically made amends, and from that you've become a better person, definitely helping the community too, and you're definitely getting much better. I mean, you took RVA's weekly, right? You got first in that, you won your own black playmat, so I think that added fuel to the fire a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, and then you also won the weeklies at our event at YHP. You beat me when I was playing the Final Fantasy 2 deck, testing that after it got second at Gen Con. And then you beat Jason as well, I think, right? And then you beat Kyle too, so you pretty much beat all the Turks that day, securing your number one spot.
I wasn't there.
No, okay. Well, Steven wasn't there, but it was very impressive.
Gatekeeper.
Yeah, very proud of you for that. And I think if you do go to New York, it'd be pulling like what I did in Florida. Just show up randomly, make that
Don't
long
tell
ass
anybody. I
drive.
mean, you ruined it by telling us, but
Yeah,
you would have just gone, brought the trophy back.
Yeah.
That would have been one hell of a story.
I mean, that had kind of been the plan, but like Curtis had already brought up when we had first been talking about it. Earlier, he saw that I posted I was interested in going, and I was just like,
Oh, no.
well, you know what?
That was a mistake.
You know what though? It's not like the entire community is just gonna look at me and be like, okay, yeah, he's gonna go. If I go, I go, and if I come back with the win, awesome. But it'll be an interesting experience. It'll be a learning experience.
I'll tell you, because I was being nosy and I was watching matches while my opponents were just thinking about my board stake. My turns were fast, theirs turns not so much. But I would just browse around and look at you, because we were always at the top tables. And I would look at your board state, what you were doing, and I was like, okay, that game's pretty one-sided. Judah's got it.
Yeah.
All right, he's coming up to he's going to stay in the top tables with me.
Yeah.
And it kind of kept on going that way.
And plus, like, one thing I've noticed, you've gotten really good at like counting CP and like predicting like how much cards they'll have next turn, and then from there you know what kind of cards they'll play. Because he only has 2 cards in his hand next turn. He has no cards right now, so that means he can only play like a 2-drop or 4-drop. He's got backup, so that makes it 7 CP. Now, what 7 CP card could they possibly play? And then from there you adjust to it. I've noticed that, and it's been paying off for you because you've been doing pretty well in the tournaments.
That's actually one of the things that helped me win over at RVA when I was playing against Adam Lane. So every time that he would be holding onto cards the entire time. I think it was turn 2, he cameled out at me, and I was like, oh, okay. So I played Vayne and had him locked down, so I had to build a whole big board state. But what made the game completely change, because he had like Shantoto in hand, he had like Phoenix and a couple other things or whatever. What shut him down completely was I had 2 Gespers on the board. Like I had one hand, I already had one out, and I had Edward, and I was like, okay. I was like, I have either Genesis, or I can make him triple discard, and I can pray. So I had him triple discard, and for the rest of the game, he was a mana or more short for just completely wiping my board. So the only thing that didn't make me end the game quicker was me just being afraid of Camelot. But with everything else, I was just sitting there swinging at him.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the whole mana thing. That's what I was thinking about the whole time. Just I have a lot of just discard stuff for it, but sometimes I'll overthink it.
Yeah.
Like, well,
I mean, I can't blame you if you're playing against someone like Adam Lane. Like you kind of have to overthink it, because if you underthink it, you're definitely going to get punished, and there's no way coming back from that, especially against Adam. But it's very exciting to see you, kind of reaching for that higher level. Definitely proud of you, and I think all of us are pretty impressed.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
And one thing I want you to talk about here is because you did very well in the local qualifiers. I mean, you placed, and you were between 8th and 5th because of you getting into the quarterfinals. What were your matches like leading up to Top Cut? Like, what did you play against?
And then actually, before you go into that, technically the event should have been at top 4.
yes.
Yes.
And then you would have been in top 4 cut.
Yes.
You would have been at 4.
You
So
would
you
have
definitely did, great that day. But that being said,
So first match I played was against, I don't know how long you've been playing with this Mono Earth user. He was like, oh, I don't know what this card does. I don't know.
was that Mike's son?
It was.
Yes.
It was? Okay, yeah. Shout out to Mike Byrne. We met him in Maryland as well. And if you don't know, he actually is starting like a channel on his YouTube page. It's basically for like brand new players that are getting into Final Fantasy, but this is like basic mechanics, kind of picking up the game for the first time. So, show his channel some love. It was definitely great meeting you, Mike. Hopefully we can collaborate on something, and hopefully you go to more tournaments, because I think this was your first event in Maryland, and you guys did pretty well for a first timers.
We'll see them in Phoenixville, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, we'll see you in Phoenixville when we go to was it Gamers Haven on the 25th? Yeah, we'll see you there.
Operation Get Chris Qualified.
Yeah, there we go.
My second game was against you, Curtis. That was, as soon as I sat down, I was like, I don't want to play you. Let me think. I think my third game was against Trevor. My fourth game was against Steven, and that was a very, very heart-wrenching game for me because I was like, he knows how to play this deck. He knows what he's doing, and I was like, my mentality was like, I can win this, and we'll still make it into top cut. It's whatever. But I still wanted to win. So when he didn't play backups turn 1 and he just discarded a Dia and he passed to me, I was like, oh shit.
This is a scrub game that we're talking about.
Yeah, this is the scrub game you were talking about.
Discard the first card you drew.
Yeah, I was like, nope, I'm not playing anything.
I mean, that was probably actually the smartest thing you could have done against that hand that I had. Because if I had triple discard and you had just held your hand, I probably would have ended up winning that game. But I didn't have triple discard. I think I had...
Oh, shocker. Triple discard.
I think I had like Thaumaturge and something else. And I just played Thaumaturge backup, whatever.
No,
and then
it was double. It was I recall now. It was double discard Squall, swing in for Squall.
Oh.
No, actually, no, you did not swing in Squall because I had cards in hand.
Yeah, you had
you should play 3 forwards, and then I was like, okay, that's fine. I got a hand. Squall doesn't do nothing right now. Alcid. Alcid Rydia killed an Argath with the Rydia, killed the Thaumaturge with the Alcid, and you were left with the Squall passed to you.
Yeah, and from then on, I was sitting there. I was like, okay, how can I deal with Alcid? How can I deal with whatever else he's gonna build? If I drop more 2-drops, he probably has Shadow Lord because everybody's playing Shadow Lord right now.
Because your deck is very real.
And so I had to keep that in mind the whole time. But as soon as he started building his board state, I wasn't drawing into my Sidos lanes when he didn't have card.
Yo, what is going on up there?
I know, right?
I know they're having a little party, those kids.
But
We got neighbors upstairs. In case you guys hear that noise, well, I apologize.
I think my main problem that whole game was I couldn't get him to dump his hand. Like I just didn't draw into things to make him dump his hand. I just drew into my forwards, and I was like, well, I can try and build a board state. This is mono lightning though. This is going to be an uphill battle if I try to do that because you can just idea whatever your board gone. So what was it? I got you up to 4 damage.
Yeah,
and
you got me up to 4 points of damage, but at that point,
I'd already hit that brick wall where it was just like, well,
Yeah,
I
you
can't
lost
do
all your
it.
gas.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point I had Zemus on the board, and I was just playing anything from the break zone. There's a lot of stuff in the break zone. I was discarding, I was pitching, I had no backup, so everything that I was playing, the cards were being discarded for. So the break zone was pretty hefty. So when I played Zemus and I got to pop it off, it was just okay. I can play anything I want really.
Yeah.
Because everything, aside from the Stidian, everything's a Stidian and Adea, everything's a 4-drop or less. So I'm drawing 4 CP every turn.
And pretty much that's where I was like, all right, I'm good. This is fine. And then I think my 5th game was against Ron, who he played, what was it, Deep Ground?
Yeah,
Turbo
the DGS turbo discard.
Yeah, he played that, and I lost. I think I got maybe 2 points of damage. I lost 10, and I was like, I was looking at the scores. I was like, I'm still gonna make top cut. This is okay.
I think you placed 4th seed either way. So you placed 4th seed even with those 2 losses at the end because your losses were only to me, which I was undefeated that whole day, and Ron had only lost to myself.
Yeah,
I was Ron's only loss. So your tiebreakers were far superior to anyone else's.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good segue for the next part, too. And, definitely proud of you for getting your top 8, well, technically top 4 cut. But since you're playing ice, probably like 95% of the people listening will not sympathize with you at all.
It's fine. I don't expect anybody to. I understand that.
Yeah, but that being said, I also played ice. Shocker. I played tempo ice. Basically Cody gave me his list, and I just made like 1 card change to it just because I couldn't find an Argath. But, I'm not going to give you like a whole rundown of like what I played against. I played ice. I did ice things. I made people discard. I golden freeze stuff, and I hit them for points of damage. And I lost only 1 game to Judah. And then from there, I just proceeded to win every single game that I played afterwards, up until top 8, where I'd play against Colin again, and then X bursts are a very real thing, especially against ice. So, it just ended up closing it out at the end. It was a very, very close game on the third one. If you literally did not have that unit, I'm pretty sure I would have been able to turn the game around and win. But you did, so, it is what it is. Yeah. And then, Trevor, if you're listening, I definitely feel for you, because I've seen a lot of the matches you played. You play against Turbo Discard like almost every single round.
He played against some sort of ice yes, Turbo Discard 3 different times.
And then that was the same case for like North Carolina too. Like he had to play against Jason in top 8, Turbo Discard, and I'm pretty sure he had to play more ice.
He played him in Swiss also.
Oh God. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry.
Had to do that Yorktown on the top floor and Chris Adams.
But here's the thing, though. He played it like 3 times throughout the event, but he still managed to make it to the finals. So kudos to him.
Yeah, he clearly knows how to play against that deck because he's definitely had the experience against it. But I think that brings it down to Michael. So tell the world who you are, how long you've been playing.
Cool. So I'm Michael. I got started playing Final Fantasy like last month. Mohammed, who actually just won the recent last qualifier at the Island Games, got me started. He's a coworker of mine. Came in with Final Fantasy and chatted, and then talked about the game. And next thing I know, he leaves for lunch, comes back with 2 starter decks, and just hands it to me, and you can keep it. And
okay, so like, how long do you think he's had those decks in his car? Just for that exact moment.
He didn't have it in his car. We just talked, and he only lives 10 minutes away from his work.
Oh, okay.
During his lunch,
that makes more sense.
He left, went to pick up the decks, drove back, and then handed me the deck of cards to start playing. And from there, because I've heard of Final Fantasy, but I never really got into it. Like, oh, there's another card game that's out with Final Fantasy stuff. But I love Final Fantasy. Didn't want to get into the whole spending of money into cards because I was into Magic Gathering a bit. But even then, I didn't spend money. But yeah, my background is this is like my second tournament. The first like local qualifier. So the deck I run was like mono water, simply because like learning 2 colors at once and playing them was overwhelming. It was like I don't know what to discard. I was still just learning a lot of different things. And the Island Games Centerville one back in like end of July, I was just like learning cards, playing whatever deck that like Muhammad had brought in for me and try them out. Like he had one for lightning, he had one for ice, he had like all the top tiers, but like I was playing them just understanding the basic fundamentals. From there, I've just like grown. Mostly what helped me get top 8 really was kind of like my philosophy. I wasn't really worried about who was playing better. I only focus on what I could do, which kind of water fit that style. Like you don't worry about what the other person is doing. You just do your water thing. The Layla Viking engine is like it's autopilot for me for new players. Like I get that. You play a card, you draw a card, you throw a card, you get more cards, you block with that card, get a card. You just keep drawing cards and you just kind of react to what you want to do with the situation. And which was a lot of fun because for me, the water deck was kind of like it's one color. I understood kind of like the basics of it, and for me that kept up from like because like the previous qualifier in Centerville, I lost like 2. I won 2 games and then lost 3. I played the second mono water at that tournament, but I was like, no one's gonna notice me because I'm the new guy, and it's just a random pile of cards I just finally put together after getting some boxes. And then Muhammad was like the mono water that everyone wanted, and I was like, that's the deck I aspired to be. So from that time, a couple weeks, my focus was mostly just like getting to understand the basics, like drilling in the fundamentals mainly, watching a lot of like battle cups, watching like stack videos. I even watched some of like Fredericksburg Turks and even like Curtis here, his basics of deck building and stuff like that, just to understand. Yeah.
There you go. That is value right there. A good guest, unlike other people. Austin.
Yeah, mainly what kept me kind of this mindset was FF decks was a really big help. Was I was reading the meta and stuff. I was like, I know there's a bunch of mono ice. I'm like, I have no clue what mono ice does other than that it makes your hand go away and you lose a lot of control. So like I'm not gonna worry about it. Like my mindset was only like I could only focus on what I could react to, and so water kind of played favored for that. Where I didn't care kind of what you did is I played with my hand, my reaction. So coming into this one, my goal only, the reason I even came to this LCQ for Maryland was because, Brian, Jean-Paul, and meeting with some of the Fredericksburg guys, I want to just hang out with them, play. My goal was simply like winning a game, but my ultimate goal was literally I wanted the trophy and the play mat. That was it.
I mean, I think that's like two really contrasting goals right there. Win a game, win the tournament. I think that's like polar opposites of like each other.
It's like, I know my overarching goal, but reality is like, like the dream is, win the tournament, get the playmat. But my goal is like, just win one game at a time, which was...
I mean, that's the best mindset to have when you play like a major tournament. Like, you really can't like obsess about the end goal too much. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna make top cut, I'm gonna make top cut, I'm gonna make top cut. Like, literally what you have to do is what you just did. Every time you're about to start a match, you say, I'm gonna win this game right here, and then when you play the next game, I'm gonna win this game too. Go to the next one, I'm gonna win this game too. And if you happen to lose, then you say, that's fine, because I just have to win this next game here. And then that's the mindset you want to go, because if you obsess over it, you become like Steven was in like Island Games, a nervous wreck. Because I'm pretty sure like when that happened, the only thing on his mind was, I need to qualify, I need to win.
Yeah, and the cards that were in my hand were not relevant. I gotta win. I don't care what this hand says. I gotta win. And that's not how it works. The hand determines what you do.
Yeah, you gotta read the hand.
Read the cards.
Yeah, and then like you actually had a double loss in the first round too, right?
Yeah, that was like the first greatest learning experience by everyone around me. I was playing Colin with his experts deck, which everyone had the chance to understand what actually happened. I never once had to deal with the experts issue, because immediately, like in 1 or 2 turns, he had the Dottie Luma and the wall out.
Yeah.
So he was doing the whole wall and then Brave and then Dottie Luma, and it's like, well, I have the Layla and Viking engine. All I can do is just constantly block and keep playing little fours and keep blocking till literally 30 minutes ran out. And it was mostly due because it was my first tournament and I didn't understood his deck at all. Like a lot of abilities, I was going off his word. I was trying to ask him what stuff did. So I actually ran up the 30-minute clock, which I kind of felt guilty, because like it became turn 0 was Colin, and he was trying to do stuff. He was trying to get rid of my Layla and Viking and Cagnazzo, and he just had trouble to like take it out, because I was actually up like 5 or 6 damage, and I had like 1 damage on him. So he just needed to hit me at least once or twice, and he would have won. And went back and forth where I just kept blocking every turn.
Yeah.
And it was strange, because like Turks, my last turn 3, there was like a group of you guys, all the Fredericksburg guys, like y'all looking at me and like you all had faces like you wanted to tell me something, but you're like,
I tried to say it. They were like, no.
You can't say anything. It's tournament match.
Yeah.
Basically, what we're trying to do, and we explained to him after the game was over, it's because it was clear that Michael was not going to win that game. Colin was definitely in control, and I think Colin was at 3 damage, and you were at 6.
Yeah.
If that's right.
Something like that.
So there really wasn't any way for Michael to win, and his deck was very, very low, so he probably would have decked out as well. In that kind of situation,
He had 4 turns left.
yeah, and in that kind of situation, it is best to just concede and give the opponent the win, especially if they're in clear lead, because when you have a double loss, it hurts your own tiebreakers and it hurts their tiebreakers too. And the Troca Bros explained it, I think, on some previous episodes about like a whole double loss situation. You really don't want that in tournaments, because it does mess up the bracket as well, and then also it doesn't help you, especially if you end up trying to get a top cut. And let's say, if it was top 4, you were guaranteed not to make top 4. If that was the case, if the store decided to do an actual top 4 cut.
Yeah, because it came down to it being, if it was a top 4 cut, it would have been me as first, Ron as second, you as third, and then Judah would have been the 4th seed.
Yep.
Colin.
And that would have been the most boring FF decks list ever in the world sent over, because Brian definitely spiced it up.
I was going to say Lightning Night. It was Lightning Night Ice.
Wow.
Yeah. It would have been like a repeat of the first North Carolina that I went to, which was just my mystery deck and then 3 ice. But so like after that double loss, you definitely overcame it, and I was surprised to see it at the top tables actually, because I was not to say that I thought you were going to lose. I thought the double loss was going to be more of a liability for you than it actually was.
Yeah, surprisingly it wasn't, because in the end, Colin even got like 5th, I think.
Yeah,
so,
Colin was
7th.
6th seed.
6th seed, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, after that, I was like, honestly, I felt really bad for Colin, because I know you guys were trying to win, and I was like, I'm just this guy wanting to get a playmat, but just win 1 card at a time. Like, I didn't want to affect anyone's, chances to qualify, because I wasn't.
You can't really think that way, because you got your own goals, and if you deserve the win, then you deserve the win. It's one thing if someone's trying to get qualified, but at the same time, like, if you have to win this on your own merit.
Yeah.
Every single game that you're playing, you were consistently at the top tables.
Yeah, because the second game after that was another ice deck. I can't remember the third game, but I remember the fourth game. I was like at table 2. It was a mono water. He was with the mono water monsters. And then I versed Curtis here with the turbo or
that was my tempo
ice. And he kind of just wiped me out in like 2-3 turns. I was like, well, that's happened. So, you know, I have a tie, 3 wins, and a loss. Well, whatever happens. I'm just like already like flush it out of my like brain. I don't really think about losses too much because I have more fun of learning from my losses and learning from my wins. Yeah. So every time a game is over, I don't think about the game. I more think of how could I do something better. Like even if it was perfect, my always thought process. Was there something more I can do better than what I did before?
Yeah, and I love your mentality too, because like, especially like seeing new players into the game, like most people just want to play just to play. But for you, like you always think about like what you could do to be better, and like you always constantly think about like your misplays or like what you could have done differently. And I love that because like after the game that we played, you know, I explained like where I took the victory, and the part that I won was where I did the double flan. Because at that point I told you, I was counting the CP in your hand because I know you play Nidhogg, and if you play Nidhogg on me, I'm probably going to lose because I need to make sure I'm always, you know, in control of the board. So I was like, all right, I counted the cards in your hand, and I knew if I did this, then you would never have enough cards for Nidhogg ever, as long as I played correctly. And I told you at that part, that's where I started to take the game. And then the next part was when I did the Orphan to freeze both your Vikings. And then the last part that really made me win was when you decided to party attack with the Vikings. And at that point, I just took it, froze them, and then just won out from that turn there. So like you know, once you recognize that, you know, I'm pretty sure you're never going to do that again. And then you always, you know, think about like what's next. And even after the entire tournament was over, like, you know, we played some friendly games to kind of, you know, coach you on like, you know, what kind of things to do, what to expect with ice. So definitely, you know, appreciate that mentality because that's something that even like players that have been playing for a long time still need to have. Because I think like after a while, most people just kind of stop thinking about like, oh, I need to play differently. They just think like, oh, I'm already good. I don't really need to think too much. I know what I need to do in the game. I'm already well versed. So, you know, I definitely, you know, appreciate that about you. And plus, you've only been playing for like a month.
Yeah, I mean, there's no expectation that I was having fun. And also, like, I like the Bruce Lee metaphor, like, be like water. And, you know, water takes the shape of any form. Yeah. So it's like, oh, this water deck and Bruce Lee and my metaphor, it's coming together somehow. It works. It's coming together.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely impressive. You play for just 1 month and you have the right mentality and you top 8 LCQ. And that's something that, you know, a lot of people can't really pull off. And that's definitely impressive. And, you know, and that's the main reason why I wanted to have you guys on today's episode, not only to just talk about Steven's win and highlight that and kind of bounce off of Saturday's episode, but I just wanted to show everyone, like, you know, Virginia's scene is growing and we're starting to get some really, really good players. And, you know, even if you're brand new, it doesn't matter. If you have the right mentality, you can top 8 at LCQ.
Kind of piggybacking on that, I mean, the LCQ that we went to in Virginia Beach, where Austin actually placed second.
Yeah, and I was actually going to save that for another point that I wanted to bring up, which we will bring in Austin, and I'm sure he's very anxious to talk. And he's probably wondering why he's on this episode if he hasn't been able to say a single word. But, you know, I just wanted to highlight, like, the players that we have in our own community that are starting to, like, take this game seriously and, you know, kind of take their game to the next level, because that's something that's definitely respectable. And, you know, it's one thing to have a lot of people playing, but it's another thing to have, like, people who are serious about the game, because that's the only way that you're going to have longevity in the community. Because if everyone just wants to play and have fun, then once it becomes not fun, they're not going to play anymore. And then you're just going to have the same problem over and over and over again. So it's definitely refreshing to see you guys have like that competitive mentality. And I wish Jimmy was here too, because he'd probably say the same thing. You know, and the next thing I wanted to talk about was, you know, you don't have to play meta either to, you know, top an LCQ or do well in this format. Because
here I am. I'm going to talk crap on everyone.
Because with that introduction, that's exactly what we're going to be talking
because this is the perfect segue into the next thing that we want to talk about too. Because I mean, Jude's playing ice. Congratulations to him, and he found a deck that he likes and loves to pilot, and that's all you need. And then Michael playing water, something that is common played in the meta, but that doesn't matter too much, because the thing that doesn't matter is that as long as you love this game and you're having fun playing whatever you want, that shouldn't be an issue. And then if you just have the right mentality, you're able to pretty much, you know, do well and perform. But if you're that type of player that doesn't want to go across the norms, or you have a certain archetype or color that you love to play, but it just doesn't seem like it's cutting it, you know, the next person we're going to talk about definitely throws that out the water. So Austin, take it away. Mono fire player, disgusting hand dumper, Austin Dickhute.
So let me claim this. Mono fire with 7-drop Odin. I like to call out Sean, but yeah. So we went second place in Virginia Beach with mono fire, which I know nobody expected. And this guy, when I won my third match, and he's like, "You won your third match with ice fire?" I'm like, "No, it was just mono fire." And he just like, "What the?"
Yeah, but for some reason, because he was playing a fire ice deck before the actual event, and I thought that's what he was taking. And I was like, okay, cool, you're going fire ice.
Yeah.
And no, he's just slamming red, black, and the occasional purple card off the EX burst.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how your matches on that day. What was your first match that you had going into that local qualifier?
So the first match, it actually scared me because it was water earth.
Now, which card you say would be the highlight of the mono fire deck that you continuously won you the game? Because I'm thinking of something in my head, but I want to make sure it's the same one that you're talking about.
Can I say?
Yeah,
I say two cards. 7-drop Odin, obviously.
Okay.
Because nobody will see that in Nidhogg.
Nidhogg?
I think Nidhogg.
I feel like I constantly saw you play Shadow, use Shadow's ability, and just pitch the Nidhogg and bust something up.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, so
Shadow's ability, and sometimes just a hard cast Nidhogg.
Yeah.
Just to kill things.
Yeah, and like against your final match against Adam, like you literally hard casted 2 Nidhoggs back to back, I think, because you started with that in your opening hand.
Yeah, I did.
It was always turn 1 Kamlana or turn 1 Zande.
Yeah.
Funny part is, I didn't face a single turbo disc card at any LCQ except for Chris Adams. And Chris Adams' game, it lasted a long time.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah. Because I had Cam and Zonde.
That's a good board.
Yes.
First turn. And then he brought the first Dane, which was a huge issue. And then I top decked a Bahamut, AK to that thing. And then literally it just was a huge struggle for him until he could get another Vayne. And then,
Side note, Chris Adams always has Vayne if you have a 5-drop.
Ever since that one match in Ohio, he just always draws the Vayne.
Yeah.
It's ever since then, it's been a gift that he has.
Right. So I was telling Adam Lane and Awesome Archer before Top Cut started, I was like, what kind of Twilight Zone am I in that people will net deck Austin?
He's like the child of our community, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So it was a welcome surprise, but definitely proud of you for getting second at an LCQ and against Adam Lane for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you definitely gave him a run for his money, so it was very impressive.
Yep.
And that kind of wraps up the main tournament reports for anything, and then Austin you got top cut at Island Games too, right?
Island Games lost to Mono Lightning.
Yeah, I mean, so Austin still performed well for the next tournaments too, and he still took the same mono fire deck, and
I just severely edited it a lot.
yeah, then I think it was partly my fault because before Island Game I just destroyed you with Turbo Ice, and then you just had an existential crisis about oh my god, what if I play Turbo Ice? What do I need to do? And you put a bunch of cards in. But I mean, you definitely performed well, and it was definitely impressive to see. And the kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about was how you guys got into the game, who brought you in, and at what moment did you know that you wanted to take this more seriously? And then it doesn't have to be a person in order. Just you guys could just talk about it openly.
I mean, my story's been out there on previous episodes. I think we can skip
Yeah, so
mine.
me and Steven, we could skip ours because I think that you guys heard enough on the first episode. But so I guess the first question, who got you guys into the game?
Well, for me, it was Muhammad. I mean, he was straight up passionate about it. Since the slightest mention of Final Fantasy and talking about the card game, and he just lit up. And like I said, he went out, gave me a deck to keep, and he gave another coworker a deck to keep. And then from there was the community. From there, okay, well, I'll go to another event. It was the Opus 6 sealed deck. I was I'll play a sealed deck. I don't feel overwhelmed because like people are gonna draw cards and have a deck, so like it was gonna be fun because everyone's on an even playing field. So it's just more of how well I know my fundamentals and kind of playing through there. And then from there was honestly the community. You guys have been giving me cards. I've been going to events. I've been getting more cards than I can organize right now. And so that kind of led me of like having fun because I like the strategy. In Magic the Gathering, it's like you build your deck around one strategy, but you kind of know how to pilot that deck kind of through. It's just one strat. But with Final Fantasy, I like the one-on-one duel. Like you have your deck and style, but it's not like you're going to guarantee a win.
Yeah, it's kind of like branches almost. It's
exactly.
Like multiple lines of things that you can do, especially if the main strategy doesn't work out.
Yeah, and that's why, because like Muhammad with the Mom Water, he versed all different types, but with his experience and practice and playing, his mindset is like he was able to overcome each different style with one deck, and I was like, that was kind of fascinating for me. It was like I can play this deck over and over again, and I can play it a little bit differently and react to different situations, and it's more of like how am I going to play against you as a person versus I'm not versing the deck. I'm actually playing more of the player as a battle of wits more tightly. So it kind of like drew me in more because I like that little bit of grind. Generally, I like to just continue to like sharpen my mind and just keep going at it. And that's kind of like why I've kind of locked myself into Final Fantasy. Even like right now, I'm starting an event this Saturday in Centerville at a library, and I'm bringing about maybe 4 or 5 new players.
Yeah, and I also wanted to talk about that too because I think like the week before, I know that you've been posting like a lot of stuff to try to get a scene open in like Nova, and Nova's always struggled like numbers wise because Mohammed works a lot and he's just not able to like put in the legwork to like fully build up a community, but you're seeming to pick up and helping him out too, and you're kind of filling in the gap that Nova needed. So I think like the first weekly that you had was only with one other player, right? It was just you and Aaron.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then from there 2 turned to 5, and now 5 turns to 6, and now from there so maybe 6 will turn to 18 or something like that. So I think we're looking at the next big VA scene that's growing here. So that's going to add to our numbers. Like already with all 3 communities in Pocket, Virginia Beach, and then we got us in Fredericksburg, and then the guys down in Richmond. That's like 50 strong. So if you add to it, that's going to be almost like 60, 70 active players. Hopefully it gets that big, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I mean, you're definitely putting in the work, and it's very impressive. And I just love to see new people playing this game. And every time I see like a new player on like the Facebook pages, I try to tell them which shop is the closest, to tell them what kind of events that they're looking for and things like that, and I put them with the right people to try to build a scene. And everyone else does the same thing because I know like Colin refers people to us, RVA refers people to us if we're closer, especially to the DC scene. So it's definitely heartwarming to see. And then how about you guys? Like who got you guys into the game?
So actually, when I first got in this game, I didn't know anything. I played Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever. I enjoyed that, but the way I discovered it was because I went over to your hobby place to play Smash, because I used to competitively play Smash. And Jason, I started talking to him because he also had played Smash previously, and he also competitively played it. And he was like, oh, you play Cloud? He's like, all right. There's this trading card. he's like, there's this trading card game called Final Fantasy. He's like, I don't know if you play trading card games or anything. He's like, but there's also a Cloud start. There's like a Cloud starting deck, the Final Fantasy 7, like Fire, Earth, and so he was like, for weeks he would be like, you should play this game. You should play this game. And then Austin would always occasionally come in and be like, oh, Jason's telling you about the game? You should really get into this game. It took me, it took Jason and Austin a solid like month and a half, 2 months to get me into this game. But as soon as I bought a starter deck, Jason walked up to me, he was like, here's your community box, build the deck. And so I immediately like took it apart because I was like, I saw like all the Fire stuff in it, and I was like, wow, I want to play Fire. This is cool. So I did that, and from then on, I was just like, all right, I like this game. It's fun. I was like, I'm just gonna do this as a side hobby. I was kind of on the downswing of competitively playing Smash Bros, but I had the mentality because ever since I started playing like competitively fight in games. I've always had that competitive spirit. So
yeah, because like once you take anything competitive, like if you have like a competitive mindset for like anything in life, like not even just like games or anything like that, if you're like used to playing sports or something like that, like it's hard to turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like you just gradually gravitate towards it.
Yeah, and I think that's what made me want to be a more competitive player, because I also had the community who were like, you like playing this? You should do this, add this, play like this. And I had some of the like more experienced players like Curtis and Steven and Jason sitting there talking to me like, do this, maybe add to this and whatever. But I didn't think you guys took me that seriously back when I first started playing the game.
No, we take everybody seriously, like when they start playing, you know, because back when like Jimmy first played, and since he's not here, I guess I'll just tell the story instead. Like he just showed up randomly to the tournament with Angie and Gary, and they're playing. Well, he was playing Final Fantasy 13, so it was like Ice Lightning. It was basically just a starter deck. And after the tournament, like, you know, I guess we were playing a round or something like that, and I gave some suggestions of like what cards to play. Since he liked Final Fantasy 13, you know, what other good cards go in that deck and things like that. I basically gave him a lot of information. And then he told me like down the line, you know, that was the moment where he decided to actually start playing the game and take it seriously. You know, and then, you know, me, Steven, Jason, pretty much anyone that plays in our community, we take everybody seriously. Like if you enjoy playing the game, we can pick it up and understand, you know. We basically see it from a mile away, like someone who like really enjoys the game. And from there, we just do everything we can to kind of help you guys out and make sure that you guys are having the best experience. Because, you know, we just want to see the game grow. And, you know, it just makes us feel good when we see everyone else doing good too. Because it can't just be the top dogs on the top all the time, because, you know, that's just, there's no growth there. Like, you know, sure, we'll get store credit or like packs, but like overall, the scene itself is not growing. Like, we're not putting Virginia on the map. And then, like, for you, like, who got you in the game? Because I know you've been in the community for a very long time, and so it's kind of hard for me to remember, like, who actually got you. And I have a feeling it's Adam.
It was Adam Street.
Yeah.
Adam Street did, but also when you guys were over at Sages, I saw you and Liam playing because I used to play Pokemon back there. Pokemon, like, was a completely different card game to this.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. That's how I got my hand dumping mentality, was from Pokemon, because obviously you could just dump your hand and nothing will happen to you. You just top deck city the whole entire time.
And plus with like Pokemon, correct me if I'm wrong, like there's really no room for like interaction between players. Like you basically take your turn and then they take theirs.
Yeah, it's literally just one, like you're passing the ball to each other the whole entire time.
Yeah, that's one thing I like. That's one thing I talk about like for Final Fantasy when I explain to new players like why it's really fun, because you can actually do something while someone else is taking their turn too. It's much more reactive. So it's definitely you know, something, you know, that definitely garnered more interest.
Battle of the Minds.
Yeah, Battle of the Minds. Yeah. And then, so where did you start taking the game more seriously? Because I know, like, I got Liam into the game when I started playing as Sage Madness with Steven. You know, that's how we started the scene. We got Liam into it, and then we got Adam into it, and then Adam brought you into it, and then so forth and so forth. But, like, where did you, like, decide, like, this is where I want to start playing competitively?
Mine was, like I said, I was in Pokemon. Pokemon was very expensive, and it was very one-sided. So you had to build this exact deck, this exact way to go to be competitive. And I, obviously, by the way you see me, I never liked that. I never liked going meta at all. And so when I saw this, and the one thing that Adam told me was the key word was that this deck, like, any deck can beat any deck. So I'm like, okay, let me try it out. We did our first event when I first showed up for the first time. Jason gave me a Fire Wind. It was just like a bunch of cards just put together back when it was like,
this
like
back
small
like
community.
Opus 2 jank.
I think it was Opus.
Was it Opus 3?
Yeah, it was before Opus 4. And so I had Wind. Who was it? It was Adam who had Wind. I was playing Fire, and it was literally just like, I think 25 cards each, and he was just teaching me how to play the game. And so after that, we did our first tournament that day, and I'm just like, I don't have a complete deck. And so Liam just like took all my fire cards, hand me a fire deck. And
yeah, because that was a fire deck that I gave him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he added some cards to my fire deck too. And so obviously first player I faced Jason, I lost badly, but that was given. And then I faced Liam next. He told me that he gave the game away. I don't know why, but I still thought I did stuff what I could to beat him. And obviously, then last one was Corey. I don't remember what he's playing, but Corey's another guy that is in our community.
Yeah.
I think the thing that really got me into it, he gave me an Emperor Zonde. Was literally the first like legendary card I owned, and it's still obviously in my Mono Fire deck.
Oh god! So are you telling me that your moment of where you want to be competitive was when someone gave you your first Zonde?
Well,
oh my goodness.
No, not really. But after a while, I was like, okay, I just want to build on this Mono Fire and see where it'll take me. And then I think the moment where I got competitive is when Adam started giving me like he loves to give cards out, so
yeah.
He gave me Zondes, he gave me VVs. It is.
It
was mainly because like Adam wanted me out of Pokemon because Pokemon was just like a very bad card game, and he didn't.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like you sold all your Pokemon cards at one point.
Yeah, I sold all my Pokemon cards and went straight into Final Fantasy, and so.
You regret it?
No, not really.
Okay, good. And what about you, Judah? Like, what was the exact moment where you said like, I want to take this game seriously? Like, I want to be like a more competitive player because I believe that I have what it takes.
So there's actually two different moments. There was this time, what made me want to be competitive about it was when I won my first tournament at your hobby place. Mm-hmm. And it was just out of nowhere, but I think y'all were at one of the Crystal Cups at the time.
I think we were either at Charlotte or we were at Ohio, one of those two. I think
you guys were at Florida.
Well, I only went to Florida.
No, I think it was at Charlotte. Because it was like Sean and Adam.
Yeah. It was Charlotte. It was Charlotte because like literally the entire shop went, and then there's like maybe we still had a really good showing of like 12 people, I think, which is very, very, very good considering like 22 of us went to Charlotte that week.
Mm-hmm. That definitely was like, all right, I think I'm good at this game, but that made me go into an over cockiness mode, and then I kind of said things to people and started being very arrogant about it because that's kind of how I was when I played Smash. But when Smash is different.
Yeah.
It's a video game. It's not supposed to be calm, collected, and peaceful. You're all treating it all.
I mean, that's just the way everybody is, though. Like, it's normal.
Exactly. It was my normal mindset.
Yeah.
And
that's why I never held it against you because I know how like people that play Smash are. There's like a very machismo environment where like everyone's trying to like prove how good they are to everybody, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna body you. Oh, you could catch these hands.
At last, the fact that Super Smash Machismo, I'm thinking like you're fighting with a Pikachu, a Jigglypuff, or a Kirby. Like, how is Machismo?
Yeah, but it after that, and I felt like nobody wanted to play games with me or hang out with me because of how I was acting. And after I came back and apologized, and I just started being like, all right, now I actually want to focus on being better at this game. People started talking to me again, and I felt like I was welcome back into the community. Because at one point I was like, I'm sick of this game. I want to quit.
Yeah, and there was a lot of times where you would literally storm out the store after taking a loss, and you would just like leave and not come back. And me and Jason had to sit you aside, be like, yo, man, you got to stop doing this. Like, I understand that you're really passionate about it, but you got to chill, man.
Yeah. But what really did it for me was it was a couple weeks ago, actually. I had just finally finished building the current deck I'm playing, and I had a really horrible week. I was sitting there. I don't even remember what I was sad about. I was just sitting at the shop. I was kind of just like, I don't want to be at home. I don't want to go to work tomorrow. I just want to chill and hang out with everybody and play this game. And I sat down, and the tournament was about to start. It was like 8 people, and I played against Kyle. And out of the blue, randomly, very unlike him, he's like, "Hey man, how's it going? How are you doing today?" I was just like, this is not normal for him. And I was like, I'm all right. I kind of gave him the sad, depressed answer. And then I think it was Jason or you
It was Jason.
It was Jason. He's like, hey man. He's like, listen. He's like, no, that's not the way to talk to him. Just talk to him and have a conversation. So we sat down, had this conversation, and played. And then I beat him. And then my attitude started I was like, all right, maybe we win another game. And it rolled into when I played against you, Curtis.
Yeah, I think you played against me second round.
And it went from my game against Kyle, I had 5 points of damage done. Then I went against you and you only did 2 points of damage to me. And I think my last game was against Jimmy.
Yeah.
And I beat him in like 4 turns and I did 0 damage. That was when I realized I was like, if I can actually competitively play this game. I just need to be how everyone was talking to me. They were like, just be calm, collected. It's not like I'm a bad player. It's just my mentality was holding me back. And that's when I realized I was like, if I'm more mature about this, I can definitely just be a more competitive player. And it just opened my eyes to where I'm like, I actually want to be competitive about this game because it's a huge step for me in my life in general, just because of I was super socially awkward about a lot of things in my life. So when I stepped in this community and was welcomed into it, and after I amended everything, I was like, I feel like this is another step in my life to where I can be good at it. You know?
It'll level up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what it is. It'll level up pretty much.
Try to say you smashed them down.
So that definitely helped me with my competitive spirit, and I feel like it was also like a maturing experience.
Yeah.
It helped me. It definitely helped me get out of my I'm better than you and whatever else mentality.
Because I've been talking to Jason a lot. I'm like, yo, I'm really impressed with how Judah's turning this shit around. Like, he literally went from bottom favorite of the community, and now he's working his way up. And I can't say enough. I'm extremely proud of the progress that you've shown. Not only tournament, but just as a person. Because I know that you've been homeschooled, right? So you probably haven't had the opportunity to have much interaction with people. On a face-to-face basis, and the only thing that you could base it off of was how people behaved in Smash, which is definitely not the norm of how people usually interact with each other. So that's all you know, so that's all you can do. So I definitely understood that, and I've never held anything that you've ever done against you, and I completely understand where you're coming from. So I'm just so impressed, and again, so proud that you're able to just turn this all around, basically become a better person, and then out of that you're able to be better in anything that you put your mind to. I mean, you're a young guy, you're the baby of the community, you're 19 years old or something like that, so you literally have your whole life set ahead of you. So this is a good way to just be a better person and mature. So it's very impressive. I'm very impressed. And then that being said, Michael, but where did you start deciding this is where you want to go, this is how you want to spend your time and get better in the game?
So for me, I have a competitiveness, but it's all my life I've never competed with other people. My mindset was always, how do I be better than myself, my former self? If I was doing so well one day, how do I be better than myself yesterday? And also at the same time, I've always enjoyed the community aspect, and I've always liked socializing. So what really kind of turned me on more was the fact that you guys showed up, I hung out with you guys, Mohammed was just passionate, and we talked about Final Fantasy at work, and then from there it's more of, I wanted to get better, not for to be competitive or be national. I do everyone wants to be a national or world champion, but at the same time, mainly it's it's a game that I can kind of sharpen myself to be better. When I play you, I feel I'm better than who I was yesterday.
Yeah.
I learn a lot from you. At the same time, it's the road trips. You guys are talking about road trips to going to Charlotte, Carolina stuff. Mm-hmm. Honestly, as long as the reason I want to get better is so I can keep going on these trips. I would love to go to other events. I would love to do road trips with you guys, and in the future I plan to do more.
But don't ever feel like you can't come with us if you aren't at a high competitive level, because shout out to Liam, back when we did Charlotte, he didn't come even though he wanted to, because he felt like he wasn't competitive enough, and some of the people in the community told him, you shouldn't go because you're not ready. At that point, he took that advice to heart. He didn't take it personally. He was just I'm not ready, I'm not going to go. But he missed out on a really fun experience where we all had a lot of fun. And don't ever feel that way. Like, you're always welcome.
Oh yeah. Here is my advice though, when you travel, a couple hours, especially by yourself, and you scrub out, man, that drive home hurts. I did it. Self-experience. I'm speaking from experience here. That drive home when I went to North Carolina and I scrubbed, boy, that was a painful ride back home. There's a lot of depressing music being played.
I get that.
Then you came back and was happy.
Yeah, it's a little different because like my mentality has always been positive. Like even though like even I don't feel like it, it's just that I always want to be better because I always believe like kind of a lot of quotes like a rising tide raises all ships. Like if I'm simply better, then the community becomes better as a whole. So
exactly.
It's more of like I do my part to be better, so I can keep doing stuff with you, but at the same time I can help add to the community. And so this is how I like to pay forward in all aspects of my life. So that's why I want to develop a community in Nova because I wanted to start a star event, chill, relax. You get to learn the basics and drill the fundamentals and have fun with it, and then naturally they'll have competitive because people are having fun playing each other. And I always like the spirit like as like kids, like when you're like little with siblings or little friends, like they beat you, but then they're like, oh no, I want to beat you next, and then it just kind of continues this chain of like, we'll just keep playing to be better than one another.
Because like you never want to plateau. You always have to have something that keeps on like going up those rings. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think the first time we ever met was at the Opus 6 pre-release. Is that right?
Oh yeah, that's where I first
Actually, case tournament, right? Was it the case tournament? It wasn't a pre-release, it was a case tournament.
Case tournament.
Yeah, case tournament. Because you came down with Brian.
Oh,
and
you're right.
Came down with John Paul as well. And, at that event, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's probably the thing that started as a catalyst where you wanted to be more involved in the community because like after the case tournament was over, we could have just been like, all right, peace, see you guys. But no, you're like, yo, let's all go out to dinner, let's have some fun. But then we went to Applebee's, got like half off apps, and we just, shoot the shit for a while. Even we're strangers, like we still like, did our best to like welcome you guys into like the community. And we've known Brian and John Paul for a long time, but we didn't really know you, but that didn't stop anything.
Yeah, actually, in fact, Brian and John Paul is who I met at the Opus release, and so I chatted with them, kind of talked with them. They gave me some cards to begin with, and so it kind of spurred from there. From there, the next event was the box field in your hobby place, Fredericksburg, and so I went with them. They road trip. We went down, had fun, met you guys. Like for me, I'm very kind of outgoing just fine. So like when I played against Sean, like I had no idea, but like he had the One Piece hat. Like, oh man, you're a One Piece fan. I'm fine with that. I'm gonna play Final Fantasy with a One Piece fan. Let's go on with that. He beat my butt, but I go on to the next person. I try to find like what each person I kind of connect with and just keep playing with the game. And then, like I said, I've been hanging with Brian and Jean Paul, like even saying goodbye to Jean Paul. Like this past week, he's heading back to Puerto Rico. But like we had made already good memories in a couple of weeks, and they gave me more cards, and I have like so many cards that's why I'm like doing it. Like I need to do something with these cards because I have a pile of cards. I was surprised with the amount of cards in the community was so giving. I'm like, well, I gotta do something back real fast because now too much.
You gotta up the ante. I just wanted to showcase the community, show how much we've grown, and just show like the caliber of player that we have here. Not only just the Turks, but like the people that come to our locals, people that are starting to like make a name for themselves. And the last question before we like close out the episode, like, what would you be doing right now if it wasn't for Final Fantasy? Because I know for a fact that if I wasn't playing Final Fantasy right now, like I have no idea what I'd be doing. Like my life is literally better by playing this game because like just meeting all these people, playing this game, having fun. Like sure, like I had more money because, but overall, like the experience is like you can't take that back. Like it's just so much.
I hated traveling. Like I don't want to go anywhere. Like I hated that. But like now playing this game and traveling to events and all that, like I look forward to that stuff. Let me travel somewhere. Let me go eat at a place I've never been before.
Nats was so much fun.
This is why like I'm not gonna scrub out of Nats. I'm not gonna let it happen. But if I do, well, I gotta have a good damn time. Cali's gonna be a great
Trace
time.
You in LA, better have fun.
But yeah, it was a fun time last year. It's gonna be a fun time this year. But it just changed my perspective on just traveling itself. Like I love doing it. I like being on the road, just having the conversation, shooting the shit in the car, going out to eat afterwards. Our events, like it's just our routine that we do now. Mm-hmm. We go out somewhere, we go to the tournament, then we go get a steak after the fact.
Yeah.
And so like that is just awesome in itself. And then just meeting new people and all.
Yeah, I mean. me, like, you know, if it wasn't for this game, like, I don't think I would have met, well, I know I wouldn't have met, like, Chris Adams or, like, Adam Lane. Those guys are fantastic. And, like, just traveling with Chris Adams, like, that first time to Ohio, we didn't even know him that well, and we still took him with us in the car, but I don't regret it for a second.
No, that was the day where he just demonstrated value.
Exactly.
Value City Furniture. That man right there.
Wow.
But like we had so much fun on that event. When we actually go to Nats, like we plan on doing like some vlogs and stuff like that. And to kick it off, I think we should include that video of Steven at that night in Kansas.
What'd you do?
Really funny.
Kyle.
Don't worry about what I did. Nobody showed me.
Share me the video. I want to see it later. Yeah.
All right.
No.
Oh my God! All right, fine. We won't do it for Steven's sake, but just let the world know that it was definitely a sight to see.
It was beautiful.
But anyways, like I know for a fact that my life would be, you know, less valuable just, you know, not playing Final Fantasy because like there's so much experience, so many people that I've met playing this game.
I think I might still be playing Smash. I feel like my mind state might be still in that Smash mentality. Like I think I would still not be willing to take steps in my life because of Final Fantasy, I gained more confidence to be able to go out and go, like, have a leap of faith to go out and go do more things because I was afraid to go step into a new community that I was unknown, and it just helped me grow as a person. And I feel like I would be stuck, and I feel like I'd just be in a worse position than I am right now. I don't know.
No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, honestly, my life is kind of a weird point. I like how Final Fantasy really was a community I never got into so tightly before because I've gone through like Magic Gatherings, Gamings, and some other smaller communities, and I've built communities online myself. Just my background with trying to get into the game industry and such. But Final Fantasy has been one where the people really made it stick for me to stay. Like if it wasn't for you guys, I mean, I would still play Final Fantasy, but it just made Final Fantasy that much more enjoyable. And so like it's become like Final Fantasy friendship now. Like that's what this game has turned into. And that's where I kind of sit. So that's why I'm excited for like years of like traveling Final Fantasy and seeing it grow beyond what it is and how the community really keeps this game alive just from the community itself.
Obviously, for me, I'll be stuck at Sages, just playing Pokemon and just being in financial ruins because I'm trying to be good in Pokemon. But obviously, Final Fantasy, same with him. I met community, like Steven said, traveling around and all that stuff. And I'll be honest, Final Fantasy actually let me hang out with my cousin more than I used to.
Your cousin does play this game too, CJ. Y'all are a lot closer now. Bringing families.
It was Christmas of this past year. I told him about there's a Final Fantasy card game, and he heard about it, but he never got interested in it because I didn't think he probably didn't play card games that much, and he was interested in it. I guess everybody in his group down at RVA was interested, so I was a little fuel to add for him to get interested, but I'm able to hang out with him more.
Yeah, there we go. That's your own notebook moment.
Yep.
Because, Ron, Colin, and CJ, like that entire group, they're the main reason that, RVA is exploding right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just stealing something from Chris Adams here. Told you that to tell you this. Thank you for listening, and hopefully this episode kind of opened your eyes to the Virginia community, kind of showing what we're capable of, and just showing the overall growth that we have in the community, because it's definitely a beautiful thing, and I just want to kind of showcase it for the world to see. But thank you for listening, and have a great day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you guys want to hear more, just follow us on our SoundCloud page and follow us on Facebook as well. Hopefully you guys tune in next time.